Hey everyone, welcome to this weekly Sidereal Astrology forecast for the week of September 18th to the 24th of 2023. All right, so this week we have the new energy. We just had a new moon last Thursday and Friday, and so it is the slowly building of new perspectives, maybe quite literally new things in our life as we do begin this new lunar cycle. Now we will enter into the first quarter moon once we get to around the Friday time period, and so that'll be a much more integrating time, usually where we can really challenge ourselves to take action and really implement what these new beginnings are, or what we set out to do since that new moon. So the aspects this week on Tuesday, we do have the sun opposite up to watery Neptune, and so it's good to find some balance with the receptive, intuitive, emotional aspects of life. Once we get to Wednesday, that sun will be trining empowering Pluto. So midweek could be some personal empowerment, good for removing obstacles, facing fears, reclaiming that personal power that Pluto can really help us do in a trine. And then the weekends with some Chiron aspects. Chiron is the healer comet. Here we'll be trining Venus, the planet of our values and relationships, and also opposite that Mars, which is about our needs and desires. So there could be some healing there as well. All right, so let's go and take a look at all of this here in more detail when we return. Alrighty, so here is the sky for this week. We're going to look at this for each day of the week, starting first with Monday, September 18th. And as you can see here, we are using the visible sky on this channel, which is very different from mainstream astrology. Unfortunately, you won't see them using the visible sky because most astrology systems change the sky to make all the constellations an even 30 degrees. But as you can see here, some constellations are larger and some smaller than others. And so we are taking that into account, which is essentially the equivalent of looking up at the sky and seeing exactly where all the planets are placed. So if you are new to this channel, definitely check out that link down below for more information on using true sidereal astrology. Okay, so let's do a little bit of a recap. Again, we did just have that new moon last Thursday and Friday. It was right in between the constellations of Leo and Virgo, and that's really where we have the energy right now. We still have Venus, who's just slowly building momentum after her recent retrograde. Mercury's just building momentum from his recent retrograde. They're both in Leo now officially. And so there is that Leo energy here with what we could be enjoying and valuing. Okay, Venus is here, and also maybe connecting in that way. Leo's all about self-expression. Leo's about connecting to the things and people close to our hearts. Okay, and having a bit of that playful, creative energy. Mercury, the planet of our minds and communications, again, also here. Could have a good creative mind, maybe expressive, and again, anything that involves mental activities could be good for that self-expression or creativity. So it's all about connecting to the heart there with Leo, and that's definitely going on. Having said that, the sun is now officially in Virgo. Mars has been here, and of course the new moon just activated it. So Virgo is all about taking that more heart-centered creative energy of Leo and actually working with it. And so it's a great time this lunar month to focus on what can be improved, what can be fixed, getting into the details, creating some structure in our lives. And it's a great week for that, of course. So that's where the moon will be here just on Monday until the moon shifts into Libra around Tuesday. So the Virgo energy is again very strong, and I would say especially through Monday specifically. Now once we get to the Tuesday time, the moon entering Libra hints at the themes around balance. And so this can be balance in our own personal lives, such as through seeing if there's any areas that are out of balance and bringing those back into balance. Okay, and same with our relationships or our agreements. Libra is also the balance with other. And so here, oftentimes themes around what's right, what's fair, coming to mutual agreements, things of this nature, just really good to develop, I would say, all day Tuesday and even into the first half of Wednesday for most of us, depending on where you are in the world. Let's just say for Tuesday and Wednesday there. Now, on that Tuesday time period, we do have the sun in that opposition up to watery Neptune. So here we have the sun now officially in Virgo, focusing on improvement. And Neptune in Pisces has been teaching us for years now lessons around receptivity, letting go of what's outside of our control and being more in that state of flow. So the question is now with this opposition is how can we balance these two things? Now this is already part of the new moon, and it is where we're going to have the full moon in Pisces. And so it's always important in any Virgo season to balance all of that detail orientation with the receptivity and acceptance. And so Tuesday is specifically a good day for this. How can we find balance between focusing on what we do have control over with Virgo and also letting go of what we don't have control over with Neptune and Pisces? Okay, and so it's a great week for this balance, and anything that does integrate these two things is fantastic. Work with rest, doing with being, activity with receptivity is great. Okay, so anything balanced there, fantastic. And again, the moon will be in Libra here, the Tuesday and Wednesday time periods, emphasizing bringing things into balance anyways. Now, once we do get to the later part of Wednesday, the sun will start to trine up to Pluto, and we do have the moon shifting into Pluto's deep sign of Scorpio. And so in this sense, let's call it all the way until about mid-Friday, the moon will be in this deeper part of the sky. Now, it's nice to see that there's a support from Pluto in a trine. Now, trines are easy to work with, but Pluto, is very deep and difficult to integrate energy. And even in trines, it can be good to challenge ourselves to integrate it, even though we have a lot of the support from the universe to do so. So it's a really good middle part of the week for diving deep with ourselves, with our lives, with other, bring things to the surface. And again, we can do that inwardly, spiritually, psychologically. It's a great time for healing as well. But also externally, research, uncovering hidden things, uncovering, deep aspects of life. And then, of course, in our relationships as well, this sort of opening up in our healthy relationships where there's trust, creating boundaries in other situations, right? This healthy integration of having that depth that we're likely craving this middle part of the week, but also having that awareness of what is important for us as well, and checking in with ourselves and making sure that there is that deeper connection with ourselves, with life, and in our relationships. And again, we do have a lot of that support to do it. So that's the middle part of the week there, and we can particularly notice maybe the healing energy of it once we get to the late Thursday, early Friday time period, because that's when the moon will be in healing Ophiuchus, and it's also after the trine where usually there's a lot of integration. And then as we start to get into late Friday, the moon will pass over that galactic center at the end of Ophiuchus, which is a very transformative part of the sky. It's where there's endings and beginnings, right? The death and rebirth. And then that leads us into the Sagittarius energies, which is the post-healed, post-transformed energies, similarly to the butterfly out of the cocoon, which will be for the weekend. So late Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and into next week. So it's a good weekend for a bit of that open-mindedness, a bit of that feeling free, feeling adventurous, and listening to that spirit for life. Now, there is still healing energy available with that. This is not as, I think, strong as the middle part of the week, but we do have these aspects with Chiron, and it's, supportive with Venus. We have Venus trining Chiron, peaking around Saturday. Venus is the planet of our values and relationships. So when we're interacting with others or we're connecting to things we enjoy in life, that can be very healing and therapeutic. Okay. Over the later part of the weekend, opposite up to Mars. Oppositions I don't believe are inherently that challenging. They do require balance though. And so here, anything that can be aware of where we can heal with our own needs, our drives, our directness, our assertiveness, good to maybe Find some balance with that, right? Just be aware of really the oppositions are about illumination, okay? And so illuminating, being aware, and then recalibrating, right? Matters of self-interest, drive, personal needs, okay? So that's Sunday. But this whole weekend, we are in this first quarter moon. And so fundamentally, I think it's a really good later part of the week to challenge ourselves to move forward these new beginnings from the new moon. So again, new moon was last Thursday and Friday. Now this Thursday, Friday, and into the weekend, good to integrate, good to take those actions, good to move things forward, good to challenge ourselves. And it can be a very constructive later part of the week. And then as we get to the very late weekend, and especially into next week, we come out of the apex, that integration point. We start to build that momentum. And then we come up to the full moon, which will be about a week from, this Friday. Okay. So that is the week in a nutshell. Put simply, is that it is the beginning of the lunar month that we just started. We're just building momentum this week. Once we get to the later part of the week, it's good to really have that tire meet the road and implement and integrate and just challenge ourselves, generally speaking. The early part of the week is emphasizing really, I think, these Virgo energies of improvement and refinement. But again, that's really the theme for the whole month anyways. But finding the balance between that, improvement, refinement, and receptivity, right? Especially around the Tuesday time period. Then once we get to the middle part of the week, there's that deeper energy and there's a support to do that. So personal power, transformation, depth, all of this very supportive of the middle part. And then although we do come out of that deeper energy and feel probably more of that post-transformation with Sagittarius, there's still those aspects with healing Chiron going on. And we're integrating this new moon energy. Good to challenge ourselves just generally. And again, I think a good way to do so will be to focus on what can be improved and fixed in our life and perhaps integrate that with whatever has been transformed or what we might be more open-minded about with that moon in Sagittarius the later part of the week. All right, so everyone have a fantastic week. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to click the like button if you're watching this on YouTube. And if you haven't yet gotten your True Sidereal report, there's a link to check that out down below. I now have free mini reports at the website where you can just type in your birth details. You actually don't even need to know your time of birth if you don't have that. And it'll give you a mini report on the big three: the sun, the moon, the rising sign. And and you get that interpretation. And of course, if you want the full report, there's that as well. But thank you again for all of your support. And I'll see you all next week for the next astrology forecast. Take care.